Good evening, everyone. My name is Bernard Canna. I'm the editor and photographer for the website known as the Photo Pit. We are continuing our series of interviews with members of the Rising Talent Group that are going to be performing at the Blue Ridge Rock Festival that's taking place on September the 9th through September the 12th of 2021. I would like to introduce two of the members that we have here today from the band known as GraveBound. Hi, James. How's Johnny? How you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having us on.
No, thanks for coming. So introduce yourselves and your role in the band, then let our people watching today, who else is not with us.
All right, I'll go off first. My name's James. I'm the guitarist of GraveBound. I pretty much do a lot of the songwriting and have my hands in pretty much anything that the band does. Pass over to Johnny.
All right. Well, my name is Johnny, and I'm the drummer of GraveBound, and I'm in charge of social medias and pretty much our booking agent until we get one with this band.
And we're missing Kyle, which is our vocalist, and Joe, which is our bassist. So we are a four-piece band.
Okay, very cool. So let's start off with the basic stuff. So how did GraveBound get to be? And tell me, what area are you from?
So we are from Richmond, Virginia. We generally are. Our bassist actually is from Tennessee. And we've all known each other for about, I don't know, like 7 or so years. We've been in various bands together under different names. So we've kind of, I don't think we were under one band at one point that wasn't called GraveBound together, but eventually came back as GraveBound. But to start off with how we kind of formed, we were running as a name that I cringe to say. It was called Heard by Eyes. And we were under that name for about a year or so with a few other members. And we eventually got with our management, which is Pinup Artist. And they suggested that we do a rebrand, and we named it something not so cringy. And so that was one of the best suggestions that they could have ever made. And we rebranded, and we eventually wanted to go a different direction with vocals. Kyle actually played guitar for us originally. So we had two guitarists, no bass, and a vocalist, and then Johnny on drums. And we eventually put him up to vocalist because he was actually doing a pretty killer job. And I'd always actually contributed to the writing process for vocals anyway, so it just made sense. And we got our buddy Joe that we had played in, man, it was like Azrael and a few other bands, maybe, like I said, 6 years ago. And he joined back, and we just kind of got the band back together. So it was really fun experience.
Okay, that is a interesting. I mean, it's interesting that you don't see bands. Let me not say you don't see it often, because I'm sure it happens. With a decision to say like, okay, we need to rebrand this because this name just is not working.
Right.
Bring it out to something else. Why GraveBound?
That is a great question. I think initially, like any band, we were trying to think of something that was just cool, right? Something that would roll off the tongue, something that wasn't, of course, heard by eyes, and that would stand for something and that we were all good for standing by. And I think it has different connotations, and I think everybody in the band has their own meaning behind the name, but it's not strictly just like death and crossbones and whatnot and just all about that. It's just kind of like living your life to the fullest, for me at least, and knowing that any day could be your last. And we'd previously been really hitting home with a lot of our lyrics about mental health and bringing attention to that. And we kind of furthered that with some of our newer music, with kind of living life to the fullest, as I mentioned. And I thought that was kind of suiting for a name as well. And I think everybody, like I said, has a different meaning for the name, but that's just what it means to me.
Okay, Johnny, what about you?
I mean, honestly, James nailed it right there. It's really living life to the fullest is the way I look at it. 100% right there. So, I mean, I didn't really come too far into naming the band. Honestly, Heard by Eyes was really cringy to me, but honestly, GraveBound works for me. I just think it comes off the tongue very easy, so that works for me.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, and this is kind of a little interesting thing, is that we met Joe actually off of Craigslist, and we put an ad out for like a metalcore guitarist back in the day. And he shows up with his dad. He's like 17. I'm pretty sure that he thought we're gonna kill him, and it just worked out. I haven't had many things work out from Craigslist, and that did, especially finding people to play in your band. You always end up with, like, you're say for example, you're like this young teenage band, you're trying to find like a guitarist for whatever you're trying to do, and you get like a 60-year-old that comes up, and it's just like it just ranges, or someone that can't like doesn't have gear and just wants to be in a band, or it's really difficult. But that was an actual success story from Craigslist.
But that is probably the most bizarre way I've ever heard of someone saying like, I met my, members from, one of my guys from Craigslist.
It might have, I mean, we didn't know how else to find people. We didn't have a lot of friends, I guess, that had connections into other bands or knew people that played. So we're just like, hey, let's just put an ad on Craigslist. It's what we historically did. So
Okay.
You remember I put a poster at Guitar Center and Sam Ash and put guitarists needed.
Oh yeah.
I actually put a handwritten one on their bulletin board when they used to do that. Now obviously social media is taking over the world. You don't have to do that, but we tried anything.
Yeah. Hey, as long as it worked out, that's the important part. So, which
Exactly.
it sounds like it has. So how long have you been together then as a band? Has it been 7 years?
So I've been with Johnny in various bands for probably like 7 years or so.
2010.
Oh really? So wow, even
Yeah.
longer. 2010. See, this is how
So it's 11 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Azrael was 8 years ago.
Okay, so then with Joe, it's been 8 years since. Well, I guess since we've known of him, and Kyle probably about 7 or so. But we've been officially GraveBound for about 2 years, maybe.
Okay.
And this band with Heard by Eyes would make it 3. So.
Okay. So the music that you're writing currently today with GraveBound is not the same as you were doing with Hurt My Eyes. Like you didn't bring over music and singles from the prior band to you currently, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I like how you put it though. It sounded like you said "hurt my eyes." I like that one.
Say it again. Well, it's not Hurt My Eyes. What was it originally?
Oh, see, that's exactly why we didn't like the name. It was Heard by Eyes, so like ear.
Heard by Eyes. Oh yeah, that is kind of yeah.
Yeah, well, Hurt My Eyes, seen by ears. We got a lot of that, so.
I think you made the right decision. Just my opinion. So
yeah.
So all right.
All that music that we wrote and Heard by Eyes is essentially kind of in the grave at the moment. So.
Okay. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the music. You said, James, that you do, primarily do a lot of the writing process for the music. So what was the drive to what you're like this style of music? Because I will say I've listened to the 3 tracks that Johnny had sent over, from YouTube. Love them all, by the way. And there was a lot of unfortunately for me, I like to do a lot of comparisons because that's the first thing I just think of. Like you sound a lot like, X band. And I got a lot of I Prevail feel from the stuff that you've written and the stuff that, was there. But tell me, what was the influence and the drive to the music that you write today?
So a lot of the stuff I really enjoy is electronic. I really like production heavy music because I feel that it elevates the song into this theatrical piece of music. And I think you can do it with guitars and drums and just raw instruments. I'm just not that great at it. So I like adding in like violins and, just all different types of interesting synths because you can get so many different sounds and such a different feel for, of a song. And so I like to write a lot of the songs in a very roller coaster feel, as there's ups and there's downs. It's not like this, I'm just screaming at you for 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I want to have like a drop, an impact section, just want to make you feel something to that entire song. So that's how I structure and write those songs. My influences kind of range from what I'm listening to. Back in the day when I started writing some of these songs, it was probably Wage War and Architects. Now it's probably
Memphis Mayfire.
Well, that was way back.
That's what
But now, I mean, they did come back, so they're definitely another influence for me because they, wrote some killer new songs. But yeah, it's kind of still the same. I'd say Architects and Wage War, but I've been listening more to like Versus Me or Caskets or Slaves. A lot of these newer age bands.
Yeah, good, and all good music influences that you listed there. Wage War is actually out of Ocala, which is about an hour and a half from where I live. So it's
Nice.
those guys are killer, absolutely. And it's interesting that you say that of you want to kind of feel something. You want people to get that emotion out of it, because I will say Familiar Skin felt that way to me, and the way that it's structured, and with your highs and lows, and it really surprised me. And I think what surprised me a lot the most is the vocals and the way the vocals are structured around it, because it has that clean to a little bit of more guttural scream to back to clean. And I was like, this is not what I was expecting from this style of music. So yeah, it was refreshing. It was nice. I liked it. But I have a question for Johnny, though, specifically around drums for a second.
Right.
Your kit, and don't take this the wrong way, your kit to me for the music that you play is small. And and it really surprises me that it's, and I don't want this to sound the wrong way, and I'm sure it's going to come out the wrong way, but I want to say it's almost so basic, but the things you do with it in your music is wow. So tell me, like, why did you go with something, I guess smaller than what you'd see in like some bands, the massive kits everywhere. And
right. Well, simplicity is key, especially when you're traveling. That is one of the biggest things there. And you can have many different cymbals that can complement another and make it sound like something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I play with a 4-piece. I have a snare, a mounted tom, and a floor tom, and a kick.
Okay.
Honestly, I have nothing against anybody having 6 toms, but the stuff that we play, I only need 2. So when you hear like a tom, and you'll hear, it sounds like a completely different fill, the rudiments and all that kind of stuff. It's, a kick in between this, or, the fill is just there's a lot of, it's not a lot of the consistent fills. So you could put like 2 kicks in between the tom and the snare. You could put, triplets or whatever when you're writing the drums and stuff like that. So you can make a small kit sound big.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the biggest kit ever, but really the reason why I do it is just for traveling reasons. It's easier to keep up with. And honestly, I mean, it's a lot cheaper too. I mean, I have an expensive drum kit, but I don't have to worry about changing, 10 drum heads versus changing, 4.
That's true. I mean, I will say, and I think you kind of nailed it. It's like the sounds that you come out with from these songs, on such a small kit is just incredible. And it just blew me away when I'm watching and listening. I was like, whoa, like that's crazy to be able to do that. So, and I wanted to bring that up because it jumped at me right away when I was watching your videos. You did talk about, James, a little bit about mental health in your songs. Can you embellish a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean that was mainly written by our departed vocalist, but we all stood behind that message, of course. And we spoke about things like depression, anxiety, and different things that people go through. And honestly, our old vocalist was really heavily going through a lot of that, and so a lot of that hit home with him. And so we wanted to. I think it was a really big topic around that time as well. And we just wanted to show our support and say, like, hey, you're not the only ones going through this. Like, this is how we deal with it, and this is our music for you to maybe help you get through it.
And with that, it's and you tell me if I'm wrong or not, but is that what Tonic's message is for that particular single?
So it's a little bit. I think Tonic was at the near middle of COVID. Obviously there's like needles in the video and whatnot. And it was about just being fed up with being stuck at home and not doing anything, and being fed up with where we were with COVID. That was generally the idea behind Tonic.
Okay. The other one that I had to get in a little, run through was Failure by Design. Tell me a little bit more about that single.
So that was pretty fun to write. Like specifically on the lyrics or the like,
whichever.
Yeah. So, well, I can say production wise, we produced that one all in house, basically took it out to our friend Kyle Odell, which is a producer in Nashville, Tennessee. We ended up just doing vocals out there. All the guitars and synth and bass and drums had already been done beforehand. We just wanted to make sure we spent a lot more quality time on the vocals, and we took it out there and recorded that in basically a day.
Wow.
Actually, it might have been half a day. So we were out there for I can't remember, it was like 3 days. And so I don't think we did any vocals the first day. The second day was all vocals, so we did 2 songs. And then the third day we were like, well, shoot, let's just make up another song. And while we're out here to make the time, and we ended up just doing another song. So that was
crazy.
Yeah, we had something that was like tentative that we were thinking like, we might use this, and it wasn't like fully finished, but we were just like, let's just pull it out, let's get it out there, let's see what happens in studio, let's make it happen because we have a day. And it's like, don't want to waste time and just call it early. Like we booked the studio time, let's do it.
So what were you said so that in that time frame you recorded 3 songs in that time frame?
Yeah, so we did basically, we didn't do a song a day, but that's how you could kind of think about it.
Right.
But yeah, we did Tonic, we did Familiar Skin. So I think you actually said Failure by Design, and I got them backwards. It's got similar names. And then we did a song called Casualty, which is going to be one of our next releases.
Okay.
But yeah, for the other one that we have, because I know we have 3 out right now, Failure by Design, we actually did that with Andrew Bayless, he's done a lot of other work as well, like Sleeping with Sirens and Outline in Color and a lot of other great bands. And so we just did that one completely remote. We recorded the vocals, everything, and sent it to him and had him mix and master it. And we went and shot a video for that. So that was fun as well.
Yeah, I love especially hearing how bands have gotten so creative, unfortunately during the pandemic, but have gotten creative with the way that songs get written and the way songs get produced and put together, to be able to pull out, stuff that you would have just never have thought that everyone was in like 10 different areas to get it done. So
yeah, I think one of our strengths is that we're able to do a lot of this remotely. We all have the gear and the know-how to say, record a demo of a song and get it to a producer and be like, hey, this is what we got. What do you think? And they might, make some suggestions. They might, whatever. And we might go out there and actually physically go to the producer and work on vocals like we did for our last couple songs, just because we really want to make sure we're doing the best we can. Or we might just do it all remotely and just record it ourselves and have them mix and master it. And it's been working out for us. I think our songs have been coming out pretty cool. It's been saving us a lot of money, as you can imagine.
So
that's also a plus.
Yeah. All right. Johnny, tell me some of your favorite singles that you like to perform.
I would to perform wise, I love Familiar Skin. I love Erase Me. Erase Me's off of our Phobia EP that we released back in 2019. Honestly, I like all the new singles. I do like Tonic because I feel like, the crowd jumps for that and it's pretty hype. A new song that I can't say anything, it's called Casualty. I can't go in too much depth on it. It's a really drum heavy song, so it's really, really awesome. So that's probably going to be my favorite one, but I'm probably going to be really sore after every time I play it.
I noticed that you're during your performances, you're big on the stick, stick twists and flips. How long has that been always just your style when you're playing to just do that in between?
I try to do anything to kind of stand out. Like even live, I'll stand up on my drum throne. I'll stand up and yell at people like to get hype. Like I'm just like the hype man of the band. Like when we have our intro, I like to run out like our intro, like for the live set, I'll run out to the crowd and get people hyped and run back to my drums before the rest of the band members come out. So it's anything to stand out because they don't allow me to be on camera too often. So I just, gotta do something cool.
Why is that?
No, I'm joking. They give me plenty of time, but I just, wanted to give them a hard time on air right now if I could.
I think the biggest thing we just try to say is we try to focus on putting on a performance, whether it's in a video or, on a stage. We don't want you just to come out and hear our music and just be like we're playing a CD or whatnot. We want to give you an experience. We want to put on more than just playing and singing our parts, especially in videos too, where quite frankly, we can get away with not playing things exactly how they are just to put that, piece of art together and
right.
really show you how we're trying to make you feel in the song. So.
Yeah. And I will say, like production wise, your stuff is very, it's the buzzword, unfortunately, I've been using a lot with the number of bands that I've been interviewing. It's polished. It's like, it really just surprises me like how solid these, your music is. And I kind of sit there and listen and I look at all these and I'm like, why are bands like these not out there, like really out there, at this point in time? I mean, you guys have been around, together for a while and, even though you had a rebrand, I mean, but the stuff that's coming out of GraveBound from just what little I've heard is good. And I'm going to make sure we'll put some of these videos into the interviews, but fans absolutely watch these. You will love them. And if you don't, then something's wrong. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can comment on that. I feel like we take a lot of time and we're really trying to get everything as best as we can. Sometimes we let, good get in the way of, or perfect get in the way of good. And we focus too much and overthink things, but we really want to make sure that the stuff we're putting out is as polished as we can get it and is within our capabilities. We're not going to spend, some $100,000 on a music video or whatnot just to get it up to standard, but we're going to do the best with the money that we can and make sure it's the best. So we
Yeah,
want to
that
make sure
makes
we're leaving it all on the table. And I think that also is going to give us a leg up and help us stand out.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, even from what the ones I've seen, it's like they're for music videos, they're great, and the the music that comes with it and the performance around it and the way it's situated. Yeah, it's good stuff. You guys you're on the right track to me as far as I'm concerned. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, so let's talk a little bit about because Johnny brought it up. Let's talk a little bit about music and what you've put out there so far. So what has GraveBound released as of right now, like
Josh,
album
you want to
wise?
go with that?
Yeah, we actually came out with Phobia back in 2019. What was it about? What did we come up with? 4 music videos off that, James? If I'm not
I think it
mistaken.
was just 3.
Just 3: Erase Me, Disconnect, and Phobia. So
Yep.
as GraveBound, our first release was Phobia. So that was definitely that whole Phobia EP was based off mental health. That was with our previous vocalist. Kyle was in the band. He was the guitarist then, but he had a heavy influence on writing vocals and melodies and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like we got the same guy as
Yeah.
far as that. But yeah, we Erase Me was a music video done in my basement. Um, that one was released of August of 2019, and really it was like a thank you to our fans because of how much great feedback we were getting from releasing that EP. And we brought all the fans into my basement, and the music video videographer guy, Alex Hyder, set it up as like a giant party scene, and it was just amazing. And we were all like just hugging on each other, having a great time. Yeah, and then Disconnect. I want to forget about that one. That one was rough. Do y'all remember how we had to get my drums up of like 200 meters in the air or whatever it was?
And we did the Disconnect video in a grain silo, and so we were like, 200 feet in the air. There was holes in the ground that if we fell through them, we would certainly break and potentially die. Because it was like a 1x1, not even a 1x1, maybe even like a 2 foot by 2 foot square where like I guess the green would go through, and we're just performing around it. So like if
That's
you step
crazy.
in the wrong spot, you're just going in and it's lights out. So that was interesting. But so Phobia was our EP, the only EP that we've done as GraveBound. After we did that, we got a little burnt out because we put a lot of effort into rebranding and all of that music. And then we did a Disconnect acoustic song, and then we finally got off our butts and put out the Failure by Design, which is our first single with our new vocalist Kyle. And then we put out Tonic, then Familiar Skin, and then we have a lot more that we're just sitting on right now. We're making some moves, but that's all we have out right now. So it's just an EP, an acoustic song. Oh, we did do a cover, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did a cover as well. Shawn Mendes, Wonder. We tried dipping our toe into like the Pop Goes Punk stuff, but that's on there.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. That one was all done in house as well. Like we mixed and mastered it ourselves. So
Okay.
that's probably why it sounds a lot different than what our normal stuff does. But yeah, so that's kind of our discography. We have a lot more coming out this year. We're just trying to plan on how we're going to release it all.
Okay. So are you guys currently an independent artist? Are you signed to a label?
No, we're currently independent. We do have management, which is Pinup Artist Management, but that's it.
Okay. And then I guess the question I've always asked a lot of bands is that is the goal to go, music full time, hopefully things like really take off to do this full time. Is this side project stuff? I mean, what's your feel on that?
So I think everybody has their own objective when it comes to being in the band. And so everybody wants a certain thing out of it. It's all generally the same. We want to see it go as far as it can. We all have our own priorities. Like I have a family. We all have great careers and enjoy what we're doing outside of music. But I think eventually we'd like to see this become a reality where we potentially could quit our jobs. But I think realistically that won't happen anytime soon. And we're trying to be as safe as we can around that because we do have families, we do have people that we need to support other than ourselves that are relying upon us. So it's going to be difficult to make a transition like that. So
Right.
I think realistically, it's always going to be, at least for the near future, going to be secondary, but it's going to be very important to us, and we're going to try and do as much with it as far as we can.
Okay. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. I've spoken to other bands who have kind of said the same thing in the sense of, no, that's not like, going like full-time music isn't the priority right now. Like that's like, if it happens, great, but it's not the priority for that to happen. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. As long, to me, it's, you know what your goals are and what's, what has to happen, what's important, and the fact is you're chugging along the way you want to, and it's been working. That's all that, that's all it needs to know. Right. And
yeah, I think it's just we look at it pretty realistically, and we know that we're not going to just even if we got signed and we just blew up out of nowhere, we still wouldn't have the amount of success to support ourselves. And a lot of these bigger bands are still struggling with finances, and we don't want to see ourselves get into that situation.
Right.
We want to push it as hard as we can, as much as we can, but also still maintain our current careers and what we do. Because personally, I have a job that I really love, along with doing the band. So I would hate to see, have to choose between those two. So I'm really trying as hard as I can to make both of them coexist.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And you're probably the first person I've spoken to who's actually said that.
Yeah,
I think that's a rarity these days for people like to say like, I love my job, And so,
yeah, I don't want it to get construed as like, I just don't love music as much as
I don't think that. No, that's not it at all. I understand what you're coming from is the fact that, when you have a career, and especially when you have people you have to support, you have to prioritize on what's most important, in that aspect, right? You can take the band as far as it can go, but you also have to remember, like, I have a family here. I need to be able to put food on the table in such a normal day-to-day basis. So yeah,
I also want to be around for my daughter and see the things that she does when she grows up, and I don't want to be on tour 6 months out of the year and missing that. Right. So this is like priorities that we have, and maybe if in the end that it means that I just don't have the drive or I love music as much as what I need to, then so be it. But that's kind of where we're mostly at.
Okay. Understood. So since you brought it up, I'll ask, what are you doing? Are you currently planning tour, outside of Blue Ridge right now for the band?
So I'll let Johnny go on that one.
So right now we actually have something in the works of October. We've released one of those shows, which is October 1st. We'll be playing with Picturesque and Scary Kids at Canal Club, which is promoted by Legacy Concerts.
Okay.
And then that's October 1st. And October 2nd and 3rd, we have 2 out-of-town shows that have not been announced yet. They'll be announced hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then, we'll have our little weekend run. And then after that, on the 23rd, we have Carolina Uprising, which is like another festival similar to Blue Ridge Rock Fest.
Yep, heard of that.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that, and right now I'm trying to work on getting us, a little run during that time as well, so we can, maybe get 2 or 3 shows out of that.
What day are you guys playing?
We're playing Saturday.
Saturday. All right. Saturday, the 11th. Perfect. All right.
Yep.
So you're gonna have a little tour that's gonna be coming right after Blue Ridge to get on the road. We have singles that are being created, so you guys you're keeping fairly busy.
Yeah, we want to try and have a steady drip of content throughout the year. I know we've had a little bit of a lull if you look at our pages and whatnot for how often we release content, but that's kind of the plan, just constantly be releasing. That's why we've been doing singles instead of EPs, because one, we can focus on creating one great song versus 5 mediocre songs. And then we can also have that steady drip of content where it's like, oh, they're always doing something, they're always staying active, they're in our face. So that's kind of the point there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've seen there's a lot of bands have actually focused on doing that instead of doing, just, we're going to do a studio album. And it's like, no, we're just going to release like 9 singles and then maybe we'll put it together on an album or something. So yeah, completely get it. So let's talk a little bit about outside of, music stuff. So Johnny, when you're not doing drums or, managing the social media and stuff for GraveBound, what do you like to do?
Honestly, man, workout. I'm a pretty decent gamer, so I like to do that as well. I just recently set up a live streaming setup so I can live stream and people can watch how bad I suck. Yeah, so I get a lot of shit talking on that one. Really, it's just that in the gym. I really don't have anything else that I do outside of, work, band, and that.
That sounds like a lot to me as it is, especially live streaming stuff. So what are you playing when you're live streaming?
Well, I'm getting worked in Warzone, so I wouldn't consider it playing. I'm getting worked pretty good. Um, but hopefully I'll be playing. I like to play Madden, sports games, and different things like that. That's something I'm actually really good at, but more people are into this, battle royale stuff. So I'm trying to get good at that, but it's probably going to take me a while, the
Okay.
pace I'm going.
No, that's all good. No, I mean, that's, the streaming is now like, a pretty big thing, especially I know with musicians, it's that they're now coming out more and more as gamers, to come out there and talk about that. And I'll mention something in a second. So James, what about you? What do you do when you're not?
So yeah, so I like to work out as well, stay fit. I I have a family as well. I have a wife and a daughter that is 2.5, so that keeps me pretty busy most of the time. Um, and then wow, I think every other ounce of time that I have goes to the band. So band, gym, family. I mean, I do game as well. I like to play games at night, but it's not like I stream it or play professionally or anything. It's just kind of like a unwind at the end of the day type of
Right.
thing. So I like to
So what
play
do you
like
play?
Overwatch, Warzone. I'm pretty big into Halo. I still play um, the Halo games that are out right now. I'm looking forward to the new one that they should be dropping later this year. But yeah, that's kind of it.
Okay. And so you guys once again continue in this trend of the interviews that I've been doing, and I'll explain. So in a majority of the interviews that I've had, we found two things around musicians. Number one, hobby-wise, they're into art, meaning like, it's something outside of music, meaning like they're still creative, but it's like it's painting, it's drawing, it's sculpting, something along those lines. The other one is gaming. It's like every band, with the exception of one, honestly, the exception of one band, and I asked one band about it, they're like, no. Like, that's not us.
Wow.
I was like, wow, okay. It's like not what I was expecting, because every other band was. So, all right, you continue our trend here. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. All right. So what last words do you want to tell our fans here, either about your music, about the upcoming performances, tours, whatever's on your mind? Johnny, I'll start with you.
I'll just go ahead and hit it off with the shows. GraveBound has a lot of good shows coming up. We got Blue Ridge. We're going to be rocking the hell out of that one. We're stoked to be playing alongside with a lot of these amazing bands that we've looked up to. A lot of my favorite bands are going to be on there. We got Carolina Uprising, which is another festival we're super stoked about. We've never played festivals before, so we got two of them we're knocking out. We're playing with Scary Kids, Scaring Kids, and Picturesque coming up as well on October 1st, and it's going to be our first weekend run, honestly, as GraveBound, because the other ones got canceled due to the pandemic. So right now, come out to any of these shows that GraveBound has. And the Scary Kids one at Canal Club is the last one of 2021 in Richmond. So make sure you're there.
Okay. And James, what about you?
I'd say if you want to keep in touch with us, we have, you can find all of our links on gravebound.com. Everything is there. Our socials, our merch, what shows we're playing, anything you want to know about us, it's going to be on there. And we're still a very small band. And so we try to take every opportunity that we have to respond to comments, messages, whatever. So if you just want to talk to us about our music or talk to us about anything, just message us. We'll talk to you. We love it. We'll, anytime of the day. So,
All right.
Other than that, yeah, the shows and thanks for having us on here, though.
All right. So
thank you.
Yeah, no. So just as a reminder to our viewers here that GraveBound is going to be performing at the Blue Ridge Rock Festival on Saturday, September the 11th. So please make sure you check out their set. And also, as I've been saying with every other rising talent that we've been speaking with, make sure, if they're going to be selling merch at the actual festival, come check out their booth, buy an album, buy a t-shirt, buy a sticker, buy a button, buy whatever, because merch is a big part of how they continue to do what they do to help fund their videos, tours, and stuff like that. So please, if you like these bands, support them in any way possible. That way they would appreciate it. And if you see them around the set, go ahead and go say hi, take pictures, selfies, whatever, and definitely follow their socials. We'll make sure we get all those links posted in the interview, and we post that on the website. So I want to thank you, James and Johnny, for taking the time tonight. I greatly appreciate it. It was great talking to you, and hopefully we will see you at the Blue Ridge Rock Festival.
Absolutely.
Thank you.